Hello everyone, another day, another video. Welcome back to your biology class. Hope all of you are doing well. So, before starting today's video, let's take a quick review that what we studied in the last video. So, in the last video, we started chapter number 22, Humans and the Environment. So, all of you remember what is the definition of environment? Yes, the surrounding of living organism is called environment and it includes both living and non-living thing. And we discussed about some topics which included in this chapter, and last time we studied the first topic, that is about food production and agriculture, in which I explained you about the modern cultural techniques, and we also studied about monoculture technique in which only one crop is growing on a large scale, and we also discussed about the positive and negative impacts of monoculture technique. And then we studied about intensive livestock production, and we also added some negative impacts of this livestock on the environment. Apart from this, we also studied about the world food supply, that by following all the techniques to increase the food production. So what are the factors that actually affect the world food supplies? So this is about the review of last lecture. So today we are going to start the second topic of this chapter, which is, just see the next slide. So students, today I pick up the second topic of this chapter, that is habitat destruction. So let's discuss what is that.
So students, before discussing about what is habitat and habitat destruction, I want to ask one question: that what is environment? Yes, environment is the surrounding of living organism. Students, environment exists 1500 million years ago, and that time there is no oxygen in the atmosphere. But after some time, what happened? First, living organism or photosynthesized cells evolved. So the atmosphere is now accumulated with the oxygen. So it's mean the organisms which used oxygen for respiration, they are evolved. So before that there is no oxygen in the atmosphere, so anaerobic organisms only live there. But when photosynthesized cells are evolved and they release oxygen in the atmosphere, so these anaerobic organisms only live in the oxygen free part of the earth, such as deep layers of mud. So, students, now all of you agree in this point that all living things affect the living and non living things around them. Like, for example, earthworm makes burrows and worm cast, which affects the soil and therefore the plants growing in it. Students, within the past 10,000 years, another organism has had an enormous impact on the environment. Since ever humans learned to hunt with weapons and domesticate animals and to farm crops. So we have been changing the environment around us in a very significant way. One of the greatest effect we have had on the environment is that most threatening to the existence of many different species of organism. Like we have destroyed their habitats. We have seen that each species has adaptation that help it survive in its particular habitat. If we destroy that habitat, then it is difficult for many species to survive in a new kind of environment.
This means that the habitats are destroyed when we use land for other purposes. Now, I'm going to tell you about the definition of habitats. Habitats are the natural environments of plants, animals, and other organisms. And in other words, you can say habitat is generally regarded as the place where an organism or a population lives. Population means same species. Like, for example, what is your habitat? Where humans are living? Yes, obviously, houses. Our homes are our habitats. And what is the habitats of trees? Yes, forests and outside environment. So, a habitat is the natural home or environment of a plant, animal, or other organism. But this habitat should contain the factors which are required by living organism, like it provides the organism that live there with food, water, shelter, and space to survive. So, habitat is usually consists of two factors: biotic factors and abiotic factors. I hope you understand it well. What is habitat means? Yes, the place where we live is called habitat. And habitats with all living things, it's called ecosystem. Like an ecosystem is made when habitat and all living organisms that live in it combine. So this is called ecosystem. So students, as I mentioned before, that each species has adaptation that help it survive in its particular environment, because their habitat provide them food, water, shelter, and space to survive. So that's why they are able to survive in particular environment. But if their habitats are destroyed, so they are unable to survive, and after some time these species become extinct. They become extinct or wipe out from the environment. So here are some examples of habitat which are listed below. Like the natural habitat of raccoons is the forest. Okay, and what about the human habitats? Yes, are places where people live, where they can find all the things they need to survive. And what these things are? Yes, food, water, shelter. And most human habitats are in the same sort of places as animal habitats, like forest and grasslands. But human and animals live in very different kinds of shelter. This is the difference. Keep that in your mind. So, like for example, the habitats of plants including forest, woodlands, grasslands, and deserts. We can find plants there. So, another example is polar bears. Polar bears are only found in the Arctic region, so their habitat is Arctic region. These are some of the examples of habitats, and with respect to some organism where they are living. So, what is the habitat of humans? Yes, our houses. So, habitat is the place where an organism live. I hope you understand it.
So students, humans are destroying habitats of other. So students, humans are destroying habitats of other animals because human population is rising so fast, and humans use other animals' habitat to survive. So humans are using animal habitats for themselves. If humans continue to use animal habitats, then what is the result? These all animals can go extinct or wipe out. So what we have to do? We have to work together to save the animals.
So students, here are some reasons for clearing habitats for, like for example, agriculture, farming livestock, building houses and roads. Because we cut down tree or native vegetation to make land available for growing crops. See this picture? And for farming livestock in some part of the world, for building houses, factories, and dams. And sometimes we use natural resources like metal resources and fossil fuel. So we damage the habitat in this way also. And we also add pollutants to the land water, which can kill plants that normally live there and so change the habitat. So when we kill the plants, so carbon dioxide remains there. So increased carbon dioxide leads to global warming. And sometimes removal of key species also affected because of this habitat destruction. Like for example, corals. Coral reef is actually these coral reef habitat are found under the sea, and they are actually the home of many animals because corals contain tiny photosynthetic organisms inside their bodies, which are actually the start of food chain on the reef. If we are damaged or if we cause pollution in under the water, so these coral reefs will damage and destroy also. So see the diagram here, these are coral reef and these are actually the home of sea creatures because they support about 4,000 species of fish and 800 species of coral and hundreds of other species, some of which are yet to be discovered. So these coral reef provide a very large habitat to support many life species. But coral reef are homes to many plant including, and here are some examples of this, including sponges, fish, sea anemones, crustacean, snails, and mollusks. These animals actually rely on corals for food and shelter. As I mentioned before, these corals actually contain tiny photosynthetic organisms inside their body, so which are the start of actually the food chain. And these photosynthesis, organisms actually they are lowering the carbon dioxide percentage under the sea level. If it increases, so ultimately it leads to global warming.
So students, the habitat destruction leads to deforestation.
Is when forests are destroyed by cutting trees and not replanting them again. Or in other words, the cutting down of large number of trees is called deforestation. So students, let's discuss about the causes of deforestation. The deforestation has some causes which are listed below. Sometimes because of natural causes and sometimes because of human activities. Natural causes include sometimes fire, parasites, and floods, and because of human activities like agricultural expansion, cattle breeding, mining, oil extraction, dam construction, and infrastructure development. So these are all the causes of deforestation. Students, humans have always cut down trees because the world is an excellent fuel and building materials, and the land on which trees grow can be used for growing crops for food or to sell. So 1,000 years ago, most of the Europe is covered by forest, but now most of them have been cut down. And the cutting down of trees in a large number is called deforestation. So the forest which is exist in the world is called rainforest, and it usually occurs in temperate and tropical region of the world. But recently, the most concern about deforestation has been the loss of tropical rainforest because in the tropic, the relatively high temperature and constant temperature and high rainfall is provide the perfect conditions for the growth of plant. So that's why all humans used to for farming there. And another is rainforest is a very special place and it is full of many different species of plants and animals. Like it has high biodiversity. So different species live in a small area of rainforest than it's an equivalent area of any other habitat in the world. So we can say that rainforest has high biodiversity. So if we cut down the tropical rainforest, so it's mean we are disturbing the habitat of these species. So what are the serious consequences of deforestation? Let's see this video.
Students, a great variety of animals and plants exist on Earth, and they are essential for survival of mankind. But a major threat to survival of these organisms is deforestation. So deforestation means clearing of forest using that land for other purposes. So trees in the forest are cut for some of the purposes, such as using land for cultivation, building houses and factories, making furniture, and using coal for burning purposes. But some natural causes of deforestation are forest fire and severe droughts. So now we are going to discuss the consequences of deforestation. Deforestation actually increases the earth's temperature and pollution level on the earth. It increases the level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and it lowers the groundwater level. Deforestation actually disturbs the balance in nature. Like plants need carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. If fewer trees means that this carbon dioxide will not used up by plants and result in increased amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So carbon dioxide trap the heat and causing global warming and increase the earth's temperature. And it also disturb the water cycle and may reduce the rainfall, and this is cause drought. Deforestation is a major cause which leads to change the soil property, like fewer trees and more soil erosion. It means that removal of the top layer of the soil and expose the lower hard and rocky layer. This soil has actually least humus and is less fertile. Humus is you studied in your lower classes that humus, the best soil for plants growth is loamy soil because it contains humus. So it does not support the plant growth. So gradually the fertile land is converted into desert and it is called desertification. So deforestation also lead to decrease in the water holding capacity of the soil. So the movement of water from the soil surface to the ground is reduced. So it leads to flood. So if the cutting down of trees continue, and rainfall and fertility of the soil will decrease, and there will be increased chances of natural calamities such as droughts and floods. So these are all the consequences which happens as a result of deforestation.
So, students, now we are going to discuss about the control of deforestation, that how we can avoid the forest loss. So, number one is reforestation. Reforestation is an effective strategy because it has to fight against global warming. And in addition to benefiting the climate, reforestation also helps important species of animals because reforestation helps to rebuild habitats and degradation, which are the leading threats to the health of many species. So, many countries in the world have started reforestation and forestry, and in East Asian nations are leading in this regard. Many East Asian countries, including China, have successfully managed to reserve deforestation. Secondly, is legislation. It means that by making suitable changes in the law, so that cutting down trees in a forest will not only controlled in a major way, but also its flow can be reserved. So, a way of getting around this to allow countries, the method is developed, which is called carbon credits, in which actually what happened, the richer countries pay the other country to save their forest, and in return the country which paid are allowed to produce more carbon dioxide from their industrial activities. In 2009, first time Indonesia did this. So another method is commercial forest plantation. What is that? Commercial forest is actually a part of forest that has large enough trees and is close enough to the market, and here is allowed to be harvested by the forest industry. So this is also a way that the wood can be cut in a controlled and regulated environment to save the forest. So in order to control deforestation, all cities have some possible places where we can plant trees anywhere, and new cities have to manage properly, like their expansion has to be done in a systematic manner so that there is enough green cover. And if we want to plant new trees, so there are possible space available. This also helps to increase forestation. Deforestation has also impacts on the earth water cycle because forests transport large quantities of water into the atmosphere via plant transpiration. You know what happens in transpiration? The water is lost through the leaves of the plant into the environment. And then what happens when deforestation occurs? So precious rain is lost from the area, flowing away as river water and causing permanent drying. So improper water management affects deforestation in a big way. If the wildlife does not have water, then the entire ecosystem will disturb, right? So for that matter, the construction of new dams should be planned properly so that any one area is not deprived of water while another has abundant of it. So it helps in the saving of forestry. So, at the end of the lecture, we conclude that if we do not put an end to deforestation, so all of the earth forest will disappear within the next 100 years. So, it's our duty to plant a tree and breathe oxygen for free. So this is all about habitat and habitat destruction and the deforestation process. I hope you understand it well. So thank you so much. See you next time. Bye bye. Take care.